Shouts out Big Steve.
Shout out Michael B. Big Brain MMA, UFC 314. Special guest for this betting card, Mr. Evan. I would say he's well known on the Twitter space for being one of the most toxic people out there. You don't want to cross Evan, in my opinion. He will never let that grudge down. But this year he's killing it, man. This guy's more than 20 units, maybe close to 30 units now. And I like to think I bring on guests that do well betting, right? This is a betting show. So how are you, Evan? Thanks for doing this, my friend.
Steve, it's an honor and a pleasure to be back on the Big Brain YouTube channel. The UFC 314 is a banger card. I have a lot of bets, a lot of takes, and I love talking to you, man. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. It's always fun, and it's good news that you got bets, so you can be the yin to my yang with my one bet so far. But say it every time, I will have some bets fight week. Just chillax, lads. Be patient. We'll get there. We're sifting through the reads right now. We're sifting, right? I was very aggressive last week, and it burnt me. So going back to what I do best, waiting till last minute, making sure no one can tail me. All right, first fight of the night. Now, it's a bunch of ladies. Nora Cornolle versus Hailey Cowan. A bunch of ladies, and one of them hasn't fought in who knows how long. And last time she fought, she lost to Horth. And the other one is Nora Cornolle, who's always a decent size underdog. She always kind of has some value. And now she's a favorite, which just screams pass to me. And she's a 35-year-old lass. And, honestly, I'd rather play the favorite personally. I think she's proved herself against Edwards and Mullins. And I think she's proved herself against Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I had 2 units of Cavalcanti at minus 200. I thought she had all the finishing upside. That being a split is absolutely wild. I cannot believe that was a split decision. I'm talking like multiple knockdowns and more likely a 30-27. But anyway, Hailey Cowan, I don't like getting behind these fighters that are, massive layoffs and injuries and, whatever. And they were already bad to begin with. So I'll be honest, I haven't even taped a lick of this fight. So all yours, Evan.
Yeah, I'll be honest too. I didn't tape it either. Normally the WMMA spots are like the first spots I go to on a card. Because I don't know. I just feel like there is a lot of times some value there because people overlook them. But in this case, I like the card so much in different spots that I saw this fight and I was just like, no, thank you. I know that, my priors are telling me that Cowan absolutely stinks. And so I think the line's accurate. To me, it's favorite or pass, but how much value is there at like a minus 180? I don't hate the over 2.5. I saw somebody tip that in your Discord, minus 200. Like, again, if I didn't have so many bets, I'd maybe be interested in that and maybe tape it and consider it because it's 2 chicks without much finishing upside. So I think probably overs might be good, but total pass. Fuck this fight.
Yeah. The only reason why I can't do it is because of, Cornell's like decent kickboxing game. And I feel like Hailey has a bit of a flakiness in her. She's been guillotined by that 1 and 2 chick. It's been submitted a lot actually. But anyway, let's move on. Let's save some time. Tresean Gore versus Marcos Tulio. I'll go on this one because this is the one bet officially locked in for myself, and then I will let Evan steal the show. I basically just had a really, really strong gut feeling that this goes under 1.5 rounds. There's a running joke with me and Tulio when I was on a massive losing streak. I played the under 1.5 against Matthias Duclos. Awful bum. And he went like 5 seconds over the 1.5. And then I played a under 1.5 in his LFA fight, and he just hit with 10 seconds to go against another bum. So it's kind of like Tulio always makes me sweat my unders. And then I said, look, I bet he's going to run through Poteria in one round, when I least expected, and everyone was on the over at chalk. So this guy has power. He really should be finishing fights sooner, but he doesn't really have a process. It's kind of all winging, overhooks, grapples more than he should. But I think Tresean Gore is fragile. I thought that for a while now. We've seen some instances against Cody Brundage and not really friend, but I saw some uncomfortability on the feet. So, I think, Tulio should run through him. And I give a little bit of, let's say, guillotine upside for Tresean Gore. But he has power as well. But I just think hardware-wise, Tulio's, just a gut feeling is like, Tulio's going to run through him. I think it's an easier matchup than Poteria. Say what you will. But Poteria actually has really good boxing, man. Really good southpaw, clean combination boxing. So that's what the guide is saying. I locked in under 1.5 rounds for half a unit, only because it was plus money. I mean, you could really argue 60%, right? Both these guys are under machines. And then I'm also thinking half a unit on Tulio KO 1 and 2, just to stop me from pulling my hair out when he gets it, 10 seconds into round 2 over the 1.5 mark. That's plus 160, right? A little bit more risk if you think Gore could finish him potentially. But what, 3 guillotines in a row? Maybe. Who knows? A good fight to tape is Franca. Really good grappler. He was in the UFC. Took top time Tulio for a lot of round 1 and round 2, and then just gassed and eventually got knocked out. So if Gore wants to wrestle, he's a really good wrestler. He probably just ends that way. He gasses out eventually and gets knocked out. So what do you think, my friend?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think unders are a good look. I don't have a bet on it. It makes sense to me though. Tulio, I definitely did some tape on. He's just got a massive hardware edge. I mean, that Cody Brundage knockout, when Tresean Gore got dropped and went completely out to the ground and pound, that was kind of soft. You know what I mean? So I do think he's a bit fragile, but Tulio is so aggressive on the feet that he does leave himself a little bit open. So I like the under angle just because, Gore early is going to have some pop, and it's not impossible that Tulio just runs into a right hook or something. So I like unders here. I think it's a good look. It's a pass for me, but, I'm rooting for you. Nice. I think Tulio should kill him.
Yeah, it's just the gut. It's last week the gut was screaming like this for Cornolle, and I left it till last minute to play him. But yeah, so win or lose, I have to trust the gut. That's the one time I have good reads. Alrighty. I should say Tulio's one and only loss. He was killed. He was cold, knocked out. So Gore has that path as well. Alrighty. I'm gonna address these comments and then I'll let you take this fight away, just because I've got 3 fans, and when they're in here, I've got to address them. Got to give them the due diligence. Billy Faye, LFG. Let's go, Billy Faye. Shady. I think this is your number 1 fan.
Yeah, he's the man.
Crazy Shady. 6 Hound, always in here. Shady. Tulio KO. Right. Yeah, I like all those. I like KO inside the distance. 1 and 2. Alrighty. Sumudaerji versus Mitch Raposo. Sumudaerji finally out of the rankings. Right, man should have never been in there. The last man to award Matt Schnell a victory in the UFC. Right, before his potential fight with Jimmy Flick. He could be the second man to give it to him, but we'll see. Talk more on that later. And Mitch Raposo, short notice debut against Andre Lima. Split decision, looks better than it was. Kind of didn't do anything in there. At the same time, he was never close to being finished. I think Andre Lima, that's just going to look better and better. The guy's ascending towards the rankings. Bit of money on Mitch Raposo. I get it. The public is on it. I think my friend Evan is on it too. So give us your breakdown, Evan. Let us know why you like Mr. Mitch.
Yeah, I did a lot of tape on this, and I cap it basically 50-50, maybe Mitch Raposo 51%. I think if anyone should be a slight favorite here, I do think it's Mitch. Now, obviously, Mitch is very small, and Sumudaerji at flyweight's a tall noodle, and he's fast. He's got fast hands. I thought he looked okay against Charles Johnson. He peppered some jabs. But that's really what he's got. He likes to take the back foot and just kind of move laterally and work off a jab. He'll throw leg kicks. Mitch Raposo, obviously, should have been a unanimous decision loss to Andre Lima, but Andre Lima is a stud, man. He's an absolute stud. Those kicks that he was landing on Mitch Raposo, Mitch could not get past the kicks or the eye pokes. Now, Mitch Raposo fought Andre Lima on short notice, and Andre Lima missed weight by 4 pounds. And he gouged him in the eyes 3 times. You know what I mean? Like, he just couldn't get past. He couldn't get close to him. But I definitely think that he's going to get close to Sumudaerji, and I think he's got a good right hand. And Su fights out of the southpaw stance a lot, so I think the right hand's going to be there. And I like Mitch Raposo to land 1 to 2 takedowns. So I think this is a 50-50 fight at worst. So I played 2.5 units at plus 180. He's a popular underdog this week, like you said. He can still be had for plus 150 on Bet Online. I think that's value. I really, really do. Sumudaerji does not like getting hit. And I mentioned before we came on air, he's a tall Asian fella. Chinese grappling is never, the best. Chang Ho Lee notwithstanding, but he's Korean, I believe, right?
He is.
Sumudaerji has a very tiny head, and he does not like getting punched in the head. I mean, there was in round 2, Charles Johnson landed like a little flurry on him, and he just fell over and, nearly got knocked down in round 2. He doesn't like getting touched. So I definitely think Mitch is only, he's 26 years old. He's a good athlete. He was an all-state wrestler in high school, for whatever that's worth. He's got skills. He's an athlete. He's small, but he's got a good right hand. And I think he's going to hurt Sue. So I like it here. I'm on Mitch. Let's go, Mitch.
Nice. Makes sense. It makes complete sense. Initial tape, I couldn't lock it in for now. Right? I need to circle back. And yeah, I just felt like, Sue's very fragile. Like you mentioned, doesn't like getting hit. I agree with that. Hurt in every single loss. Right, Schnell, Elliott, Charles Johnson. Maybe the under for me, plus 150, 140 on Bet365. I think it correlates. Mitch himself, one of the reasons why I couldn't lock Mitch in is just, I told you off air, just all his losses leave a lot to be desired. Getting finished by Jake Hadley, not bullish on that at all. Ludovic Sholinian, really low on this guy. Lost to him on Ultimate Fighter. Long time ago, of course. 4 years ago, he was like 21. But it's always something that's like, I wish I saw more in that loss. And then obviously Andre Lima just never got out of the first gear. It was kind of like he wasn't interested in winning. He wasn't interested in biting down in his UFC debut. And yeah, so just needed to go back in and get a little bit of a read. Maybe this is a huge step down for Sumudaerji, right? So maybe I don't want to overvaluate old mate Mitch, but he can definitely crack him. He definitely has some power. He can definitely get takedowns. And maybe I'm overthinking the Sue's triangle chokes, right? We almost got old mate Charles Johnson of all people. Maybe I'm overrating that. The Zaruk Adashev fight is pretty similar. Another stocky kickboxer from Glory. It was kind of competitive. He was a massive favorite. He cracked him, didn't finish him. Yeah, interesting fight. Almost finished Sukumtat. Yeah, the under also has my attention. We'll see. I'll circle back around to it. I don't want to talk too much without tape. But I moved on just because of Mitch. Mitch was giving me some flaky vibes. But they're both flaky, so who knows? All right, speaking of flaky. All right. Old mate Sedriques Dumas, the Reaper. That should say the rapper. That make more sense if you said the rapper. Versus Michal Oleksiejczuk, Hussar, whatever that means. So old mate Michal's a bit of on a losing streak, but he's left his garage and he's at Fight Nerds. That has to be bullish, right? Anything is better than training in your garage with a bunch of mates, I would say. So yeah, minus 200. I know some people that played minus 200. Let me just have a quick gaze on Bet365, see if it's been steamed or it's still minus 300-ish. What the hell even is this fight? Oh, here we go. Yeah, a little bit of money on Dumas. It's not really getting steamed. And basically, I agree that he should be the favorite. I mean, Dumas doesn't have any good wins in the UFC, and he has bad losses too. Ironically, the best win that he has is on Contender Series against Penaz, who I think Penaz is going to come back into the UFC now as an Octagon champion, and it's going to age gracefully, very, very gracefully. I thought it was a meme, essentially. Like, he's a decision merchant, and he somehow gets a round one guillotine over Penaz. Anyway, I think if you're going to play Oleksiejczuk, I think he's under 1.5 rounds correlates. He basically runs through everyone. He's got some power. We've seen Dumas get run through by Nursultan Rozaboyev. He doesn't really like getting hit either. Was he dropped like twice by Josh Fremd? Awful look. I played the under 1.5 there at Pick'em. Missed by like 20 seconds. I love that. Love those feelings. And yeah, I basically think, it's got to be the under 1.5 or nothing. Right? It correlates. Like, in what world does Michal not run through him? Right? He's run through durable people like Chitty. Right? I know Chitty gasses and flakes, but he's quite durable to the face. Right? He's never really been knocked out clean. Obviously ran through by Kevin Holland. Yeah, I think Dumas has a little bit of sub upside. But this man was subbed by people that, Kaya Bohio subbed him in round 2 when he's literally all decision, nothing else. But I don't know, man. I think the Dumas that we're seeing in UFC is not the Dumas that submitted Penaz. So, yeah, under 1.5 is where I'm at. Maybe I could play the Michal minus 200 because, if he extends, he probably wins too. But I don't think his cardio is all that flash. Kind of just fell apart against Shara Magomedov later on. And he usually falls apart when he gets out of round 1. What do you think?
Yeah, tough fight to get a read on, man. I mean, I get the line. Obviously, I think Lord Michal should be a favorite. So he's at Fighting Nerds, correct?
He is for this camp. He finally decided, after 3 losses in a row, to get out of his garage.
What an interesting decision, right? Let me train. He's 30 years old. He's been in the UFC for 5 years or something. Let me decide at 30 now, instead of training in my garage in Poland, I'll just go to Brazil, where I don't speak any of the language, and go trade with the fighting nerds. I'm curious to see how this benefits him. Who knows? Maybe he's on some secret fighting nerd sauce. You know what I mean? I don't know, but Dumas isn't very good. I don't think he's a kickboxer, but he's not even that good at kickboxing. I did play him as a big underdog in Atlantic City against Nursultan Ruzaboyev, but he got poked in the eye, and then he just covered up and just got TKO'd, because they didn't really give him a timeout. So it was just stupid. He's a flake. Not a fan of him. I'm rooting for Michal, but it's a pass for me. I do think the under is correlated, like you said, so it's probably the best look.
I mean, plus money, Lord unders. I mean, keep that train rolling.
Yeah, he hits hard, and he comes forward. He rips the body. So hopefully he just gets one of those highlight reel knockouts.
Yeah. If anything, Dumas could probably kill it with some grappling, because that Cody Brundage takedown was so easy. Lord is one of those guys that basically falls over. But yeah, he reversed it and pounded him out. So I think, when Cody reversed on Dumas and started throwing some ground and pound, I think that would have been the beginning of the end for Dumas in this fight. Alrighty. Darren Elkins, Julian, Erosa. I'm joking, it's Erosa. But interesting fight. I'm not really a guy that wants to play Elkins. I played him against TJ Brown, but I think we all know why. TJ Brown is TJ Brown. Didn't play him against Pineda. I was telling people like my boy Luke, not lucrative, Luke from Sparring with Reality. He's like, Pineda's not going to win a decision here. I said, mate, Pineda decision is live. And he was very close to winning the 30-27, right? 1 round 1, based off 1 mount, a couple of elbows. Was winning round 2, then went for a guillotine and ate shit for the rest of the round. And then round 3, he was winning, went for another guillotine, lost 29-28, even though his coaches said after round 2, no more guillotines. All right, so that's Pineda, and that was his retirement fight. So you can beat Elkins, man, but if you're just going to go for guillotines, if you're going to try out-grapple him, if you're not like a physical wrestler, you will lose that fight if you don't have cardio. Julian Erosa, this is just like, do you think Erosa can KO him? Or do you think Erosa is just going to get into a scrappy back-and-forth fight? Last time he was this much of a favorite. He almost lost a split to Peterson. Other times he was a favorite. He literally got knocked out by Padilla and Alex Caceres. So it doesn't age well for Erosa, but I don't give Elkins any KO power. I know some people are playing the under. It's a pick'em. I think that's accurate personally. Like, is Elkins going to get knocked out or is he going to survive? That's pretty much how it is. And pick'em seems accurate at first glance. And there's so many fights that should have been stopped. Jonathan Pierce, right? Volkanovski, a bunch of others, right? And Erosa's not really a sprawl and brawl kind of guy. He's probably going to go for takedowns. He's probably going to go for guillotines. It's going to get messy. You're going to be like, man, you heard him. Why are you doing that? Now you're on the ground. Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, Erosa KO or nothing for me. I have to keep doing some tape. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Pass. It's a pass. I mean, you got a 40-year-old Darren Elkins who bleeds, from his eyeballs in every single fight, versus Julian Erosa, who traditionally is like an under type of guy as well. I did play the under 2.5 when he fought Hakeem Dawodu, though, so that sucked because it was just, kind of like a sparring match. I definitely think Elkins is going to push the grappling, and like you said, Erosa will look for Darce chokes, front chokes, guillotines. When he loses, he basically gets knocked out, you know what I mean? And a lot of times it's like head kicks, and I don't think Darren Elkins has that capacity at 40 years old. And I don't think Darren Elkins is going to be an easy guy to submit. So I kind of lean overs. I think it's going to be a bloody, messy fight that just kind of goes over. I don't know. So it's really tough one. I get the line. I think Erosa should win. I mean, maybe Elkins can just put on a grappling clinic at 40. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know. Just a pass for me.
I will say the Hakeem Dawodu under had some value because he hurt Dawodu multiple times. And then he also backpacked him for 2 rounds. So It's a bit unfortunate. But you should have just played the plus 250 on the Erosa.
I know.
A bit on the goat side like the rest of us. But if you want to be forcing something, KO or decision for Erosa is $1.56. It's 7 cents better than minus 200. So, yeah. Just fading this Erosa sub. Can he submit him? I don't know. 2 guillotines in a row. Maybe Erosa's guillotines are next level. And this man has choked Charles Jourdain, the first and only guy to sub him, and submitted Woodson, who we'll speak about, the first and only man to submit him. So maybe Erosa's Das is the next level. We'll see. We'll see. Something to ponder. Alrighty. I love how, I know you got a ton of bets, but I love how it's all pass for you. So when we get to them, we get to them, Evan's going to be bet after bet. So looking.
Let me go on this next one. I got some takes.
All right, go for it. Chase Hooper, Jim Miller, basically father versus son. What do you think?
Yeah, Jim Miller at 14% implied is the bet. It's an automatic bet. Jim Miller at 14% plus 600 is a bet. You don't overthink it. You bet Jim Miller. Now, I haven't bet this other thing yet, but I'm considering also pairing that with a GTD, which basically what would I be doing? I'd be fading a chase finish. Now, the GTD is, I looked earlier, I haven't bet it. I was waiting for it to open on domestics, plus 195. So let's say I put a unit on Jim plus 600 and a unit on GTD plus 200. If Chase went, Chase just won a decision over Nick Fiore. You know what I mean? Like, and Nick Fiore mounted him early in that fight, got 3 takedowns, but he just gassed out and Chase put it on him with his annoying striking, because his striking is annoying. It's not that good. Like, he dropped Slava claws. A gust of wind could drop Slava claws. His striking is not good. He's not a good athlete. People love Chase Hooper. I always try to fade him, and I've been losing money on it, but Jim Miller's my guy, dude. I'm New Jersey born and bred. Jim Miller is New Jersey born and bred. He's 42 years old, 41 years old, almost 42. Guy's an absolute legend of the game. He has more UFC wins than Chase has professional fights, I'm pretty sure. Like, yeah, Chase Hooper is beating the shit out of guys. You know what I mean? But I've done so much tape on Chase Hooper, and I understand guys get better, and at 55, he looks like a different animal, but I just don't buy the hype, the Chase Hooper hype. This is an insane betting line. Is he minus, what's the line? Minus 900? This line is absolutely insane. I said the same thing last time out, though. So, and I keep losing, but one of these is going to come around, and I'm going to win. Jim Miller has cardio issues, but he recently got a round 3 rear naked choke finish over Gabriel Benitez. He went 3 rounds with Alex Hernandez. Like, he's not death gassing the way he used to when he was suffering from Lyme's disease. But again, he's almost 42 years old, so it's not like his cardio is going to be getting better at this stage in the game. I just don't think that Chase should be this big a favorite. Clay Guida, I bet Clay Guida last time out. He didn't even give a good effort, man. It was his retirement fight. He got taken down. I don't think Jim's going to get taken down that easily here. And then you have 2 guys on the feet. Chase is longer. He's just so annoying as a striker. He's an annoying striker. But I've seen him get knocked out. I've seen him get dropped. I've seen him gas out. He can't wrestle for shit. And Jim Miller can choke anybody. Okay? Jim Miller, just submitted Damon Jackson in the first round, another former featherweight who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And just, if he gets a guillotine, he can fucking take your neck off with it. So, I don't know. I think it's an easy click on Jim Miller. And I'll probably also pair it with a GTD, so I'm just fading a Chase finish. If Chase wins by decision, I made a unit, So that's kind of my approach here. I wouldn't be shocked if Jim fucks him up in round 1, because Jim is capable of fucking guys up in round 1, and Chase Hooper is susceptible to being fucked up in round 1. That's my take.
I will say you're putting yourself in a position to get double burned.
I know.
With a chase finish.
I know.
Like,
hey, it's a gamble. We're gamblers.
Of course. It's not out of the realm of possibility that Chase finishes him. I do agree with a lot of things you said there. I taped it. I didn't really think I would tape this one, but because I was zooming through fights and I was getting them all done, I was like, all right, this is the only one I haven't looked into, minus the female fight, which doesn't count for anything. So let me have a look at this massive favorite, right? Let me see if I can get some sort of read. And I left thinking I like the over 1.5. I think both guys are tough, right? I will say yes, Chase is very hittable, but I think his chin is insane. I think getting knocked out by Garcia, who I was actually on for that fight, and when everyone was parlaying Chase like the most scariest opponent to fade him with. Took like a million knockdowns. And, Miller might drop him, might hurt him, but I think he's going to survive. And then if Chase is going to finish him, I think it's going to be some extended scramble heavy fight where Hooper's like landing ground and pound or finally, catches a sub. Because we've seen Miller subbed, by Charles, right, by what's his name?
Nate Diaz.
Chiesa, but he was actually getting ground and pounded him out. And it was almost a stoppage right before he gave up the rear naked choke. So I can see it. All of a sudden Chase is actually finishing dudes, whatever, Clay Guida. But Jordan Levitt, it's not bad. But he is a purple belt as opposed to, Jim Miller that's been a black belt for 10 years. Right. So, yeah, I just think the over, but it's still scaring me because there's not many fights where people are taking down Jim and they actively engage in a scramble heavy fight. Right, it's either Jim takes you down, he wins the round. You take Jim down, you win the round. He doesn't get up. Sometimes he scrambles. He scrambled a little bit in the fight with the 40-year-old man. What's his name again? He just lost to Garcia. Michal?
Yeah, Vince Michal.
And he was rinsing him. Went to his back, then dropped down for a guillotine, and then ended the round with a calf slicer, just like the same way Hooper calf sliced Guida on Fury FC. So Jim Miller's a capable scrambler, man. He will put you through submissions. So I just feel like, round one, they're probably going to scramble back and forth. Hooper doesn't have good control. So, as you said, with Fury, they're going back and forth, scrambling. He can't really hold them down up until he finally started to hurt him. So, I don't know. It's a weird fight. Hopefully the under takes some action. Let me see where it's at now. It's still scary to play the over 1.5 at chalk since all of Chase's finishes recently have been under. Even Borshov. That really should have been under if it was a different ref or something.
Yeah, that was a beatdown.
It was like a 10-second knockdown?
Yeah.
But yeah, Jim is not that chinny. Jim is actually doesn't look washed, in my opinion. That guy is still going strong. Yeah, $1.60. Yeah, I'll in the over, but I'm not really rushing to play it. I could see like a finish. Would be a good live bet fight.
So you wouldn't bet Jim at this number?
No, I don't feel it. My gut is just telling me that Jim is going to lose this fight.
Yeah.
Eventually. He might win round one, but one of the times he pulls a guillotine, I think he's going to end up on bottom, and then it's going to be the beginning of the end. Give up some ground and pound. I think the cardio dynamic is what's going to get Jim. He might get knockdowns. He might get Hooper's back a few times, maybe mount. But yeah, Hooper just doesn't stop. He doesn't stop, and then eventually that might be Jim's downfall. And then when he's gassed, he starts to give up really bad positions on the ground. And a lot of the times it's wrestlers that are not dangerous. But, we know Hooper's going to throw ground and pound. He's going to look for a sub. So
what about on the feet? If this plays out as like a kickboxing match, how do you line it?
Well, like a 15-minute kickboxing match, you probably pick him, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe slight Jim favorite due to power but he gives up volume. He
does. He can crack. He's been hurting dudes. Fucked up Eric Gonzalez, Nicholas Moda.
All chinny guys.
For sure. Jesse Butler. Now, Gabriel Benitez, that was like a leg kick battle. He fucked up Benitez with leg kicks. He's dangerous on the feet and in scrambles. So, and Chase is very vulnerable on the feet and I think also in grappling transition. So, I definitely think Jim's going to have some success here. So, to me, I got to bet it at plus 600.
What about this? This fight goes to a decision 10 out of 10 times. What do you line it?
Well, I think Chase. No scorecard type thing or decision. Nope. Yeah, I think Chase 65%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I just think he wins round 3 at like an 85% clip. But he used to gas out. He used to gas out at featherweight. Now he seems to have better cardio at lightweight. But it could just be the dynamics of his fights where he's in control, beating guys up.
Alrighty. Very good breakdown for a massive favor and a big dog shot. So would be good if you hit that one.
Oh, that'd be good. Great. Jim by decision, red panty night.
Ooh. You could just not donate on Jim Miller. You don't have many fans on this bet. Chase Smush of the week would be hilarious. I mean, who the hell is parlaying Chase? Actually, I know a person, but the ghost of Gabriel Benitez, who doesn't look good in that fight and was never going to begin with. He retired. Yeah, a lot of Jim Mills wins are like retiree guys. Man, the worst feeling ever. Round 1 KO for Jim, and then he gets a round 1 sub against Damon Jackson. It's just that hurt so much. Just everything was, the money line was big. The round 1 was big enough. And then Jackson retires. I never get to fade him again. My life savings is in Evans' picks. He better not let me down. Yep. If I had to pick one to put my life savings on, it would probably be Jim Miller out of Evans. 2-3 Hooper. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling. Alrighty. Virna, Jandiroba, Xiaonan, Yan. A bit of line movement back and forth on this one. Let me just see where this is settled, right? Is this close to pick 'em now?
I see Virna minus
Virna,
145, yeah.
Bit of action on Virna. I know she went close to pick 'em, and then Evan, Pepe, a bunch of others, probably Chad, because when Evan and Pepe are on the same side, Chad's usually not far behind. All on Virna. I get it. I mentioned on my early teas, you have to play her, right? I do understand that she's improved her takedown defense, but the ground game is still a white belt level, in my opinion, right? You see, whenever Mackenzie Dern took her down, it was awful. It was just straight to mount, straight to an arm triangle position, straight to back. Bailey Zhang choked her out in round 1. There's no argument there. Literally to the back, rear naked choke, lock it in. And Tabitha, I think this is a bit of recency bias on the Tabitha Ricci line, who's just not the best fighter, not the best wrestler, not even dangerous. And she stuffed her for 3 rounds. And, now they're like, oh, she's going to stuff Virna and light her up. But Virna shoots really deep double legs. And she shoots on the legs, and she just kind of makes it work. And she's sticky, and her jiu-jitsu is elite. So, but I can see a world when this goes into round 3 and Virna's getting lit up. I've got confirmation bias where, I played her as a huge underdog to Marina Rodriguez and a slight favorite to, Angela Hill. And now she's a slight favorite to Zhang Yan, which is probably the tougher matchup. So I'm kind of like, I don't really want to lock it in. I'm being a bit greedy. Give me something better, I might just play Jandiroba sub, but it's probably shit, right? Let me have a look. $3.50, okay. Plus 250, could have been worse. I expected worse. Yeah, but this is a closer line fight now. I don't know. Virna at the same price she was against Angela Hill, who doesn't really have any finishing upside. I'm not rushing to it. What do you think, Evan?
I played Virna, man. I just think that she has massive upside here. Jan, I like Jan. I played Jan before. I played her against Andrade. I actually played her against Weili Zhang as a big underdog. But again, she just has this massive grappling hole. And I just think that Virna's grappling is so elite. I think she's far and away better than these chicks on the mat. And she's so sticky, like you said. You know what I mean? She's just so sticky. That Loopy fight, Loopy's an elite wrestler relative to the division. And Loopy struggled in the clinch with Virna. So I think Virna's just going to take the back, man, and probably get a sub. So I just took the money line, though, because I would fucking hate it if it's a super playable line and I'm, on a prop and the read is just that Virna should be like 70% and I didn't play her money line. So I just think there's value on minus 140, minus 145. So I put 2 units on Virna. Maybe Jan can just play this Matador game but I doubt it. They're straw weights. Virna's super hittable on the feet. She's not that athletic, doesn't move that well. She's got the double knee sleeves, but once she gets a hold of her, I think it's a round. So I like Virna.
Yep. It seems like a volatile fight, so I need to do more due diligence. But I'm leading Virna as well. Alrighty. Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. A lot of money on Woodson. This was close. This was pick'em at one point. And a ton of action. Now, this is not one of your bets, is it?
It is.
Oh, it is. Are you part of this action?
I played Ige.
All right. I tend to agree with that. Dog or pass for me. Ige's not a guy I'm a fan of, but right.
This isn't one that I thought I was going to bet.
Me either, but in a boxing fight, I haven't bet it yet. All I will say is, and I'll let you take it away. All I will say is, that fight with Dennis Bazookia, short, stocky guy that was pressuring and throwing bombs. Sean didn't like it, man. He doesn't really like pressure a lot of the times. And yeah, Dan Ige is Dan Ige, man. He hits like a truck. Do we see that Soldana chin show itself again? What do you think?
I don't know, man. What was up with that performance against Saldana? I mean, I was on Woodson like KO2, KO3. I figured Saldana was going to gas. He was getting, I mean, he ran into that left hook and got dropped. And then it was a jab that put him out again because he wasn't fully recovered. And then that stupid fucking knee Saldana threw. Woodson went out for a second, like a flash knockout, but the fight continued. Obviously, it was an illegal strike. That was weird. That was really weird. Now, again, after that, like you said, the Bazooka fight, he really didn't like the pressure. Bazooka made a mistake in that he was having some success with the pressure and the boxing and just throwing hands because he was, connecting a bit. And like you said, Woodson didn't like it, but then Bazooka tried to grapple, and then he just got taken down twice and couldn't get up. And then he, close fight with Jourdain, very close fight with Alex Caceres, and then he knocks out Fernando Padilla. So now you got Ige, who's fighting Leron Murphy, who's obviously very good. Diego Lopes, Feely, who he knocked out. Bryce Mitchell, he was so close to beating Bryce Mitchell, dude. That back take that Bryce hit in round 3 to win the round and win the fight was an insane back take, man. Again, it was just like, it was sorcery how he took his back there. And then I really think Ige fumbled that fight. And then he beats Nate Land, where he's kind of beating the guys he should beat. He's different. As far as featherweights go, he's got pop. He gets these walk-off KOs, like against Gavin Tucker. Like, he just touches him and he's dead. Andre Feely, Damon Jackson. He just got to go more. He's just got to throw his hands more. Like, the blueprint is there. Woodson's not going to take you down. Woodson wants to stay at range. He wants to take the back foot and throw leg kicks and, threaten knees up the middle, and he can box and whatnot. But if Ige doesn't get put on the back foot and he just comes forward and just, can match him in volume, he's got more power. It's easily dog or pass. And I just think, how long can Woodson at 6'2", 6'3", or whatever he is, keep making featherweight before his kidneys start to shut down? Whatever happened in that Saldana fight is going to happen at some point again. And I wouldn't be shocked if Ige lands something big here, because that's what he does, man. He hurts guys. So I like Ige to win the fight. I think Ige, at Extreme Couture, training with Julian Erosa, who has submitted Sean Woodson. Julian Erosa is a pretty good prototype, as far as stand-up striking goes, to kind of mirror a bit of Woodson, the similar style, similar frame at least. They're tall, lanky noodles. I like Ige. I think it's a 50-50 fight. Maybe even Ige slight favorite. So again, I think there's value on Ige. So I'm firing this week. Let's go. Let's go, Dan Ige.
Alrighty. I could get around to it. I agree with everything you said. Yeah, I don't like him, but he usually gets beat by grapplers, right? And I thought he was very unlucky not to win the Bryce Mitchell fight, which we'll speak about later. That could correlate with the breakdown in the Bryce fight. But yeah, if you give him a striker, especially the chinny striker, RIP. But I do think Woodson can grapple him a little bit. He's taken down Bazookia. We've seen it. I think he's a very well-rounded fighter. He just prefers to box. He's very, very clean, very clean. Just doing a little wiki capping here. Has anyone really outboxed Danny Ige? Obviously, Julio Arce ages ago, but that's just the levels fight in terms of boxing, really. Edson Barbosa should have beat him, but there's a lot more kicks involved. Josh Emmett, yeah, he hurt him. A lot more power there. Yeah, there's got to be some value there.
Evloev outboxed him.
No, but it was like jumping knee, and
yeah,
he beat in takedowns in rounds 2 and 3. He had his back. He didn't in round 1, but then it was just a beautiful MMA performance, I guess Woodson can do that, but I mean levels.
And the Korean zombie fight was similar too, right? Wasn't he taking Ige down?
Yeah, he took him down for 3 out of 5 rounds and backpacked him. He just pretty much mauled him on the ground.
Yeah.
So that's his weakness. But I think this is a good fight in terms of, is Sean Woodson ready for rankings? Because if you're not, then Ige knocks you out usually. So we'll see. I'm excited. Some good fights. Hopefully they're good fights and not like last week. Alrighty. Nikita Krylov, Dominick Reyes. Well, I don't see how this can't be a good fight. I'm kind of stuck in 2 ways. you watch Dominick Reyes and you're like, this guy is not really washed. I mean, he still has that speed. How much faster is he than Dustin Jacoby? And he's still explosive and he's still throwing like an animal. And he's exciting. He's an exciting fighter in the division. And then you watch Nikita. Nikita's a bit of a wild man. Like, he's a lot more sloppy. He's just kind of brawling, and he has a lot of power, a lot of good hardware, and his wrestling is quite good as well. He actually wrestled the current champ, Ankalaev, in round 1 and won that on all judges' scorecards. Could he do it here? Possibly. Dominick Reyes, really good takedown defense. He's got good submissions as well, Krylov. Yeah, I don't know. Long layoff, 2 years off for Nikita. He's known to fumble. Now he's minus 200. Right, he fumbled against Paul Craig. I played submission there just because of his fumbling. I think I faded him somewhere else. I played Ryan Spann submission, and hey, he dived into a couple of guillotines, but luckily survived. So he's prone to a fumble. But how washed is Dominick Reyes? Can maybe Krylov crack him? Can he repeat the Gustafsson result? I don't think Reyes is that washed, but yeah, I don't know. Interesting fight. I don't really have a strong lean in terms of wanting to risk my money on anything. The under 1.5 potentially. Let me have a look. Plus 130, not the best, honestly. And I've played a couple of under 2.5s in Krylov, and then he just wrestles. And, Volkan, he hurt him. Volkan hurt him. He went over. A bunch of other fights, Ankalaev went over. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? No strong leans on anything in this fight.
Yeah, same. Krylov, I think, had shoulder surgery. And that's why the 2-year layoff, which, I've had a couple of shoulder surgeries, and that recovery sucks. So I don't like that. If anything, I'm not an under 1.5 guy. I know you like to look at unders. That would be how I would play this fight. I think Reyes either lands that counter left, because Krylov can get aggressive on the feet and leave himself open. But I also think Reyes is probably super chinny. I mean, you're getting knocked out by Spann, and Yair kills him. It's hard to say. I don't know. I definitely lean unders here. I think Reyes is still going to be tough to grapple. You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing he's always had, is a good, good hips, good takedown defense. So I definitely think they strike, so I feel like someone probably gets knocked out, but I'm not betting Reyes, and no, it's a pass.
Cool. Let's move on. I'll look at some comments while we're at it. Old mate Glimbot, who is the best grappler Woodson ever faced? It's not a big choice. Probably Zalal, but this is 2001 Zalal. You could say Julian Erosa, Terrence McKinney, backpacked. Yeah, I think he's a good grappler. You can see on the snippets of tape. He has a really good guillotine as well. He swept Zalal with it a couple of times. Whenever someone tries to grapple him, it doesn't really go well, And he almost got a buggy choke on Saldana. Well rocked. Alrighty. Any other good comments? Woodson. Yeah. I bet the under 2.5 at plus 163, 2 units. Still light heavyweight after all, so I think someone dies. Possible, but they're both durable, man. That's my issue. I bet the under 2.5 in Reyes versus Jiri, and that almost didn't hit. Was that end of round 2? Or was that early round 3? End of round 2. Yeah, end of round 2. And that was basically a spinning elbow. Like, how replicable is that? I mean, probably very replicable in a Jiri fight, to be honest. But alrighty, second fight of the main card. We're getting into some good stuff now. Yair Rodriguez, Patricio Pitbull. I love the guy. Respect his style of fighting and what he's done in Bellator. And it's kind of like an old generation guy, just getting rid of all the new generation dudes, challenging him for the title. Not the best level. Adam Borik's probably the best guy he's recently beat. AJ McKee, very impressive at lightweight. Giving up size, youth, athleticism, speed, and he just outpointed him. I get it. I get why people are hammering Yair. But I just don't think Yair is that great. He's just a meme lord kicker and awful defense, awful takedown defense, and just flakes. He's flaked many times before, and he's flaked in his most recent fight to a washed Brian Ortega. Extremely washed Brian Ortega. So I don't know. It's just like everyone's saying Pitbull is washed, therefore this is a setup fight. But if he's going to fight anyone in the rankings that he could probably beat, it's probably Yair Rodriguez. But at the same time, I could see like an early Yair Rodriguez finish. Pitbull gets rocked a lot, right? Knocked out recently in Ryzen. Sergio rocked him with a spinning wheel kick. AJ rocked him. And it was kind of the minutes were very, very competitive with Adam Borix, and he used his grappling. Right, really good jiu-jitsu, which you can use here, I guess. It's interesting. They have a lot of similar matchups. Josh Emmett, Volkanovski, a lot of short, stocky guys. Emmett landed a big overhand right, almost knocked out Yair in round 1. People's overhand right counter, the best in the game. He just feints and he just counters you so good. Walks you into it. So I don't know. I think I like the under here. What's the under? Under 1.5 I would probably play it because it's a better number, smaller stake. I mean, how many times has Yair finished someone if he extends? $3.15 plus $2.15 for the under 1.5, right? It's probably going to be him running through people if it happens. I can see a little guillotine upside for Patricio, right? Don't come at me. I can see it. What do you think, Evan?
Yeah, dogger pass on the money line. I am not a Yair Rodriguez guy at all. I mean, you can argue in the last 3.5 years, he's looked good like one time, which was the Josh Emmett fight. And to your point, he did get rocked bad in round 1. I mean, his only other win in the last, almost 4 years was the Ortega shoulder injury, and he looked good against Ortega early in his most recent fight with Ortega in the rematch. But Ortega, he's so fucking washed. He rolled his ankle in the, when they were announcing him, he's fucking sprains his ankle. And he was getting pieced up, but then Ortega got a hold of him, took him down, and, Yair just flaked. So it's definitely not Yair for me. It's dogger pass, but I'm just going to pass and just root for Pitbull because I don't fucking like Yair.
Yeah, he's a bit of a loser.
Yeah.
A fragile mental loser. But he doesn't have any good wins, man. No. Let's say Emmett is his best win, which Evan, he hates kicks, man. We just saw Murphy hurt him with every single kick that he landed at range. And then what's that? Jeremy Stevens?
Yeah.
Chan Song Jong that he won with a 1-second knockout that he was losing 4-1 on the judges' scorecards. And then after that, it's BJ Penn, Alex Caceres, Andre Fili. None of these fights matter back in 2015. Dan Hooker when he was a featherweight. That's it. This guy, another guy that just kind of lucked his way into the featherweight rankings. I think Murphy would absolutely rinse Yair from start to finish. Once you started wrestling him, it would look like the Barboza fight.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Yeah, this featherweight, I've been saying it for years, just weird. And we'll talk about the featherweight GOAT, Volkanovski. I got some words about the GOAT as well. All right. In a division filled with challengers like Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez. Let's just think about that. All right. Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. Interesting fight. I'll let you take this one away, Evan.
Yeah, I did make one bet here. This is a great fight. I'm excited about it. There's been some good lead up into this fight. Gene Silva is doing a good job in getting inside Bryce's head. Bryce is talking about, Gene's putting a curse on him and he's having nightmares of beautiful women and all demons and shit. It's funny. It's been good.
That sounds like my kind of nightmare, dude.
Yeah. Gene Silva brings a globe to the press conference. It's been good, man. Bryce is, he's got some interesting viewpoints, to say the least, but I definitely think he's the side here. I haven't bet his money line. I don't know that I will. Basically, I might play Bryce by decision. I don't think Bryce has much finishing upside here. I don't think Gene Silva is going to be easy to control on the mat, but I do think Bryce is going to have some grappling success, which is why I played GTD at plus 160. Now, if I want to sprinkle Bryce wins by decision at plus 600, I know it was at that price when it opened. I don't know where it is now. Let me see Bryce by decision. Where am I looking? Oh, plus 375. Oh, took some action. So, no, I don't like that as much now. I'm just going to ride GTD because I think that if Mitchell wins, it's going to the cards because I don't think he's only subbing guys. He hasn't had a sub since 2019, which was that twister over Matt Sale, of all people, I think, right? So I doubt he gets a sub here, but I do think he's going to have some grappling success, which probably will deter a knockout from Gene Silva. So, obviously it's a gamble, but at plus 160, I like it. And I do think Bryce Mitchell is the money line side here. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not I get it. And I get why the action is coming. I think there's a bit of recency from what we just saw with Brito and Sabatini. They think, same thing's going to happen here again. I don't think Bryce's control is on the level of Sab. His wrestling might be better, and he's more of a dog and obviously more durable. But I think Gene Silva is another whole level up above from Brito. Just in terms of striking, Brito just swings lefts and rights, and Gene actually has layers to his striking. He can actually strike on the back foot. Has uppercuts. He can switch stances, spinning elbows. I don't know, like that fight that we just talked about. Bryce versus Dan Ige. Man, his face looked like a mess, and I didn't even see Dan Ige barely land anything. And I remember I lost my ass live betting Ige there, going into the third. He was winning round one. He was winning round two halfway through. The doctor almost stopped it. I live bet big. I'm like, this is 2-0 Ige. If damage is what we're judging on, this is clear. And then Bryce gets another sub 30-second takedown, and the round two goes straight to mount. But I'm like, surely damage-wise, this is still 2-0 Ige. And then he just controls him round three. And it's a 30-27 Bryce Mitchell. So that's interesting. But I don't like how he handles being hit, like power hitters like Topuria, I didn't really like it. And then that, Josh Emmett murdered him. Dan Ige, just how he's busted up from nothing. Yeah, I don't know. I just, my gut is telling me that Gene could, just the face will be there to hit, But obviously you have to go in depth and look at the little slim stuff from Gene Silva's ground game. Doesn't look amazing against Charles Jourdain, taking down multiple times, but straight away works up, pushes the head and scoots to the cage, and there is no settling. There's no playing. He might go for a guillotine like Brito, but there is no looking for the guillotine for freaking 3 minutes on bottom. It's just work his way up. So there's a lot of questions here, and the KO is absolutely disgusting, which pisses me off. It's barely plus money. With all the money on Bryce Mitchell, surely the KO should be improving, right? I don't know why it's not improving. That just makes no sense to me.
Well,
it's plus 100.
Yeah. Gene is a problem, for sure. Gene is absolutely a problem. His striking is nasty. Can we take an objective look at his wins, though? Melsik Bagdasarian, fine. You figure they're going to strike. Melsik is fast. Melsik got caught, got hurt. Okay.
The fact that he's knocking him out is pretty impressive, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. Gene is a problem. Absolutely. Now, before that, Drew Dober. Okay. Drew Dober looks done. We just saw Drew Dober fight. He looks done. He doesn't look like he'd take a shot anymore.
Short notice up a weight class, though.
Yes. Charles Jourdain is now a bantamweight, who, to your point, was getting in on his hips and taking him down. He's a bantamweight now, Jourdain. Weston Wilson. Okay. And then you could argue that Kevin Vallejos is his best win on the Contender Series, and he was, a baby there. And he had some success.
Almost knocked him out too.
Yeah, so I definitely think Bryce is going to have some success here. So do you lean overs or unders here? It's tough, right?
Shady will bet it for me. I don't know what you want to bet, my friend. He wants to bet Mitchell. All right. Hopefully you have a good week for your fans that are tailing you, because otherwise you're all going down together. But
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning the under because I'm just leaning towards the KO.
Yeah.
But obviously, if Mitchell wins, then I agree with you. You should go over.
Yeah.
So they correlate. It's a volatile fight, and the under correlates with the favorite. The over correlates with the dog. So maybe, I think in that case, I think the over was probably the best play because it covers both. It covers Gene late finish, Gene decision, and Bryce decision. You talking about 2.5?
Yeah.
Plus 130, yeah. It's not bad. It's not bad. There's a lot of volatile fights. I know. It's why I only have one bet locked in. Kind of don't like it. Generally, I have a lot of bets on pay-per-views. The Uncle Ive, Oliver Pereira, that was 5 or 6. I could make the argument for every single bet, or every single fight to have a bet on it. Now, this one is a bit... We've got 2 more volatile fights, man. Co-main and main. It's quite annoying. It's just washed guy versus the A side that's younger, but not really the same level.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unproven grappler that just kills everyone. Massive favorite. Washed people versus washed Yair Rodriguez. Washed Reyes versus Krylov 2 years off. And
I know. This fight's great, though. The Bryce Mitchell fight is great. It seems people are split on it. I know John Stargarian has 3 units on Bryce. I know Pepe likes
don't talk
Silva.
to me about John Stargarian, please.
Okay, sorry. Pepe likes Silva.
He's a nice guy.
Dogfather likes Silva. Seems like people are.
I think that's the general consensus. Bryce Mitchell money line or Silva KO. And I feel like, unlike your Chase Hooper, Jim Miller play where I feel like you're going to get double tapped with a shotgun. I think this one actually would work out. I think if you play Silva KO or Bryce Mitchell decision, I think you would actually leave with profit in this case. Chin Silva decision is just, I don't know, I just don't see it. But he would have won the decision against Drew Dober, so who knows? Who knows, right? Damage versus control, like a replication of Dan Ige where he doesn't get robbed, maybe. All right, let's move on. A lot of time on that fight. Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. Here we go. Another fight where there's a lot stopping me. My friend moved this line, I would say almost himself, from Paddy Pick'em down to where he's at, and obviously a lot of people are adding. And then I tape it, and I'm like, oh, this is the one where my eyes are telling me, how can I play Paddy Pimblett, whose best win is Jared Gordon? And I've described Michael Chandler as Jared Gordon on steroids, right? Literally, they cage Jared Gordon in a basement, and they just keep pumping him with TRT for 6 months straight, and then they release him into the cage, and that's Michael Chandler, right? And he's just more power, less chinny, better wrestling. Cardio is probably the only thing that's not good, but he's still having 5-round cardio against Oliveira and hurting him in round 5. Is Chandler going to get triangled from the bottom by Paddy Pimblett? I mean, he was in top of Olmei Goiti Yamauchi in Bellator. He's taken down many grapplers and survived in their guard and ground and pounded him. Right. Oliveira as well. Got out of his back control in the first fight and the second fight. I will say Paddy, really good rear naked choke. But, man, just nothing here makes me want to play Paddy. Right. Just washed Bobby, washed Ferguson. You can argue that Jared Gordon's washed. The fact that he couldn't even hurt him is pathetic. Jordan Levitt, Rodrigo Vargas. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a dog or pass, but do I want to play 38-year-old Chandler that showed me that he does not give a shit about winning? He'll just go out there and swing and put on the show for the fans. And this is, again, another guy that's 4-4 in his last, 4-1 in his last 5. He just follows the trend of Ferguson, Bobby Green, and now probably the worst guy in the top 5, top 10, and probably the most likely guy to take a fall like Bobby Green did for money. Because all this guy cares about is money. Otherwise, he would actually fight a bit smarter. Because he wants the performance of the nights and he wants the fight of the nights. He said he's not in for a long time. Just give him as many bonuses so he can retire rich. I don't know, man. The gut is like, Paddy's the side. As my friend said, more ways to win. But the eyes are saying Chandler, this is levels. And people are saying 5-rounder, Paddy's going to have better cardio. Dude, he gasses out in every single fight. He literally gasses out in every... At least I've seen Chandler fight hard in round 5 against Oliveira and still throw. And, do well in round 3 while gassed. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's an easy underdog bet. But just be careful with staking. I mean, I put a unit on Chandler plus 145. Because again, to your point, does Chandler care? Does he care about winning this fight? Obviously, Paddy is a guy who is being positioned to get big fights. So that's only going to happen if he's winning fights. But I did a lot of tape, and Paddy's tape is not good, man. It's not good. His tape is not good. His striking is not good. He's in trouble in every fight. I mean, dropping round 1 to Jordan Levitt, getting dropped by Rodrigo Vargas. We're going back a little bit, but it's just, he's not that impressive to me on tape. He doesn't, he arguably lost to Jared Gordon. I know we all bet Jared Gordon had big plus money. Like you said, he didn't hurt Jared Gordon. He hardly touched Jared Gordon. You know what I mean? Like, it was a lot of cage push and all that. I get it. But he is big. He does hit hard. If he knocks out Chandler, I wouldn't be shocked. I think he's probably got a better shot of knocking him out than submitting him, unless it's a club and sub. But Chandler just going 25 minutes with Charles Oliveira, he's 38 years old. He doesn't look 38. He doesn't fight like he's 38. He's probably on some special secret EPO sauce as well. It's Chandler. To me, it's Chandler. I also like goes the distance. At plus 375 is where I got it. Where is it at right now? Goes the distance plus 350. I mean, these are crazy numbers. I mean, Chandler just won 25 minutes with Oliveira. Oliveira never goes fucking to the cards. You know what I mean? Like, what? Is he going to knock out Patty? Patty's never been knocked out. Has Patty been finished?
No.
No, I mean, yeah. Chandler is like good enough right now to almost finish guys. Like he almost finished Poirier. He almost finished Gagey. You know what I mean? He had Charles Oliveira super hurt. He's still capable of hurting these guys. He's not putting them away though. Maybe he hurts Patty. Maybe Patty quits. I don't think Patty's a quitter. I think that Patty's tough. I'll give him that. He's tough. He's got skills. He's big. He's really grown into his frame. Is his cardio going to be there? These guys might both slow down, and it just turns into like an ugly slobber knocker in round 3, 4, 5. I really don't know. I'm taking Chandler, and I'm pairing that with GTD, and that's it. I don't, again, if Chandler gets it could be another situation where I get, double tapped with a shotgun, and I'm just losing my ass, and, my whole quarter one is burning up in flames, but that's my take. I think Chandler's got better tape, better strength of schedule. He's fought better opposition. If he knocks out Poirier, he's this close to knocking out Poirier. He's this close to knocking out Gagey. Even Oliveira. He's hurting all of these guys. He's still like a very dynamic guy, good athlete, got power. Whereas Patty's, just not impressing me at all on tape. So it's got to be Chandler. Just I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he takes a dive. I don't know. People Chad, for example, thinks King Green took a dive. I don't. I just don't think that. I think Green was like, he just couldn't get in on him. He was just too small. And then he shot a weird takedown and got fucking subbed. But I don't know. I definitely think Chandler's at this point better than King Bobby Green. And I think he's very live. That's what I think.
I think that's a no-brainer, dude. He's obviously better than Bobby Green.
Yeah.
He'd probably spark Bobby Green in one round.
Yeah. So it's Chandler, dude. For me.
Yeah, makes sense. Danny, if Dustin choked him, Patty can. I mean, that's the only time he's ever been submitted in his life, and that's a bit of an outlier, in my opinion. But the fact that it was round 3, when usually Poirier builds, like, how the hell is Patty going to look in round 3 if it's a war? Who knows?
Right.
Big Bird. Steve, do you wear those goggles when you take your miss out to 5? That's a stupid question, mate. These are blue light blockers. I knew what they were. I'm blocking the blue light from the laptop. Why would I wear them at a 5-star restaurant?
I like them, though. I think they look good.
Look, I told the story before. There was better options, but these were cheaper when the bankroll was low. I could buy some better ones, but the old Elton Johns, the circles.
Yeah.
It just makes me look like a construction worker, but it is what it is.
I'm into it.
It's all right, as long as you're into it. Alrighty, main event. I got nothing here, man. Honestly, gun to my head, I would put a unit on Diego Lopes, and I would feel good about it. Fading a 36-year-old Alexander Volkanovski, who's always been hittable. His best win is Max Holloway. I'll give him that. He shut down Max Holloway. Yeah, but yeah, he's always been hittable. I was actually at his fight when he got knocked out by Corey Nelson. Yeah, Corey Nelson was meant to be an ultimate fighter with Rob Whittaker and my coach, Nick Banjo Patterson, on the first Australian Ultimate Fighter. And this guy's an animal. He was a welterweight and he head kicked Volkanovski. This guy right here, 20-8. This is the best Australian that's never been in the UFC. Look at this animal, right? And he's also huge. He's cutting a lot of weight to make it to welterweight. So he's been knocked out before. And I'm just watching that Yair fight. And yeah, Volkanovski's kind of getting tagged, getting tagged with the hands. Obviously, he can resort to takedowns because, as we said, Yair, awful takedown defense, something that Pitbull could potentially do as well. But here, does he want to take down Diego Lopes while fresh and jump in his guard? Yes, his submission defense looked elite. Islam had his back. Got out of Ortega's triangle. It was too close for comfort. That was a gassed and beaten up Ortega. And he whipped that triangle up quick. Too close for comfort. Diego Lopes is out here almost submitting the man that can't be submitted. Evloev twice with a knee bar, with an arm bar. Submits Garen Tucker, John Danaher black belt Tucker in 1 round. Flying triangle. I don't know. He looked very good to me against Ortega. Yes, Ortega completely washed. We know. Me and you both lost a much better line when the fight got cancelled the first time. It's not often that I put 2 units on something. I think that's when I still had 2K units. So I broke my heart. Good things never happen for Steve these days. And then I didn't really want to play it in the rerun, but he covered. He covered minute-wise and moment-wise. So, yeah, not interested in Alexander Volkanovski, especially when he's, against these more athletic, bigger guys. He just has to have the perfect fight. Stick and move, switch stances. People saying he did well against Topuria. I mean, he was just surviving, man. He was just like leg kicking and running away, trying to get his reads. And it just looked like Topuria was going to knock him out at any point. And he kind of landed in round 1 a few times. I'm going to have to check the scorecards. I know a couple of judges gave him round 1. But taping that just recently, like today, I'm like, wow, it seemed like it was just give it enough time and Topuria will knock him out. So that's where I'm at, man. Diego just counters. He's like a rabid dog. High guard. Whenever you throw at him, he counters and he just follows up with multiple strikes. He probably catches Volkanovski. If not, looks to live bet it. I don't mind the under 3.5. Under 3.5 rounds is plus money, right? Let me have a look. But you're relying on him to finish. Yeah, barely plus money. You're relying on him to finish Volkanovski, who, only Topuria has done it. And Islam. I know Islam striking's underrated, but who has Islam round 1 head kick knocked out?
Nobody.
Exactly. Not even Moicano when I bet he's KO. Piece of shit. But yeah, that's where I'm at, man. I'm just not. I don't think Volkanovski's. A lot of his wins are not that impressive to me, and now he's 36. Yeah. Diego will pass for me if I had to, but I'm not locking it in yet. It's not a good read like Pereira and Ankalaev. This one's a bit, don't know. What do you say?
I played Volk. I've made a lot of money on Diego Lopes. I just bet him basically his entire run up. I had him against Gavin Tucker, Sabatini, Yusuf, Ige, and then I played him again against Ortega at a worse line. But I was just so confident in the read that Ortega was completely washed. Now, I'm on Volk here, and I hear what you're saying. We're talking about Topuria and Islam as just guys on his record who have beat him. They're the number 1 and 2 pound-for-pound fighters in the world, right? So,
what about this guy?
And Corey Nelson, yeah. That guy does look like a tank. I wouldn't want to fuck with that guy.
He's really good. He's really good.
Now, so let's look at Diego Lopez's, run up here. Ortega's completely fucking washed. He's a punching bag. He sucks. He never fights. He got his ass kicked in round 1, and then it kind of settled into like a more moderate pace. And, Lopez covered completely, but Brian Ortega stinks. It's hard for me to rate that win when I max bet Diego Lopez because of how bad Ortega is and how just he's not a professional fighter anymore. Before that, Ige, I bet him there. I was super pissed because that was the original booking with Ortega, and Ortega pulled that bullshit. But, Ige, he was gassed in round 3. He was completely death gassed in round 3. Now, at the time, I was making excuses for him. Like, he had to cut down to 146, and then the fight's off, and then he gets to weigh in again, whatever. And that was also a short notice booking for him, too. I don't think his cardio is probably as bad as we've seen it look at times, like in his Contender Series fight, or also in round 3 against Ige. But he looked awful in round 3 against Dan Ige. Like, legit was surviving in round 3 against Dan Ige. Before that, he knocks out Yusuf and Sabatini. They're chinny as fuck, dude. They're both super chinny. And in both cases, they were like in close, and he hit him with like little short uppercuts. Volk, if anything, is a smart guy. You know what I mean? And like him staying away from Topuria, he's going to do the same shit here. He's not going to get close to Diego Lopez because he knows that uppercut will probably put him on the floor. He's got a good uppercut, but Sadiq Yusuff gets dropped a lot, and Pat Sabatini is very chinny. So I'm just trying to be objective here and look at his run up. And then obviously Gavin Tucker doesn't really fight. You know what I mean? Like Lopez's grappling is nasty. Like what sold me on Lopez was the Mobstar Evloev fight, to your point about the knee bar and shit. And like he was tired in that fight, short notice fight, big opportunity. And I rate Evloev a lot, and he's just so dangerous, Lopes. But I think Volk is smart. And I don't think that Volk's going to give him these opportunities, at least while Diego Lopes is fresh enough to make him pay for them. So I'm basically banking on Volk's veteran savvy here. So I did bet Volk at minus 130. I have a little negative CLV. It's right around there. But I think that Volk has all the tools here to just stay safe early and then dominate as the fight progresses. That's my take, and I feel like I have a good read on Lopes and his skill set. I think he's got 10 minutes of – I think Volk's got to deal with 10 minutes of danger. Now, talk about profitability and playing a couple different, ways to play a fight. Lopes KO 1-2, those are some pretty good numbers, and couple that with Volk money line. Like, I think you're probably coming away with profit. I'm just riding Volk right now. But, we'll see. I mean, he's at a full camp here. When he was knocked out by Islam, I think that was in Abu Dhabi, right? And it was like a short notice opportunity. He wasn't really training. Your chin is your chin. I get it. And it sounds like I'm a Volk apologist here. He lost to Topuria and Islam. And he arguably beat Islam the first time. I think this is Volk. I do. But that's we're cappers, we're bettors, we see things differently. Everyone does, but I'm on Volk here, so we'll see. I got a lot of bets, man. I got like 10 units staked. It's wild. I don't stake this many units, rarely ever.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go over the comments. I just got to address this one from Glimbot. How did Lopes look against short notice Dan Ige? That fight is irrelevant, my friend, because he cut to featherweight, then he went to lightweight, and then he went to 165. While then Ige didn't cut weight at all and had no pressure, no stress. And he was in fight shape. And old mate Lopes had to win that fight. There is no way you can lose to Ige on 1 day's notice. So he was probably like, I have to win this fight. The nerves were through the roof. And Ige's like, fuck it, let's take this fight. It's much better than fighting Chepe Mariscal, who's going to beat me and I'm going to lose my ranking. So, that pointless fight. But Big Bird, some 36-year-old, best win Max Holloway. Yeah, just spitting facts, mate. Don't think Lopes is anywhere near Topuria's. Might struggle to close the distance. It makes sense. I'm not rushing to play anything at the moment, but gun to my head, as I said, it'll be Lopes. And then you can always live bet out, Alrighty, so you say you got 10 units, Evan?
Yeah.
Can you give us a little overview if you don't mind? Or
Yeah. So I have 6 money lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I bet Volk. I bet Chandler. I bet Miller. Let's go Jim Miller, baby. I bet Dan Ige. I bet Virna. And I bet Mitch Raposo. So 4 underdogs, 2 favorites. The 2 favorites are Volkanovski and Virna. And then I have 2 GTD bets. I paired my, Michael Chandler money line with goes to decision at plus 375. I think that's very wide. And then also I took the Bryce Mitchell, Gene Silva fight to go decision at plus 160 because I think Bryce is live and I think he's going to have some grappling success, which I think will probably extend the fight. So that's it. That's where I'm at. 10 units. I've been on a good run, man. I'm up 28 units so far this year. Mostly money lines and totals, like no bullshit, no fugazi openers, just making good bets, and hopefully that continues.
Nice. Well, I'll give you some advice from that slate. I would say maybe lock in some locks because a lot of dogs, a lot of go to distances. You don't want to lose.
I know. I don't see the locks though. I'm just playing the board.
10 of your 20 units would be heartbreaking to lose in one card.
I know. I hear you. Just when baby will have a fucking party, that piece of shit.
That's all right. Give him something to celebrate. He's been waiting all year.
I know. He has.
All I have is Tulio under 1.5, but I'll probably have some variations of Tulio 1 and 2 for better, plus 160. Decent plus money there. And, the things that are sticking out, Michal under, Erosa KO, Virna, then Ige, Reyes fight is, whatever. Yair KO or the under 1.5, Gene KO, and that's about it. And
well, Steve, if you were to fire right now on a bet, what would it be? Not the fight that you've already played, not the Tulio fight. If you were to,
I literally just went
fight,
through all the ones that I said I would lock in.
No, but I'm saying right now, if you were to fire on one, like right now,
it will be the under 1.5 in the Michal fight.
Okay.
And that will give me with 2 under 1.5s, which 2 weeks ago worked out.
Yeah.
The Jose Medina under and another under, both plus money. It worked out. So it's a good day for me that day. All right. Anything to plug before you go, Evan? I know you have a dub club.
Yeah, I do have a dub club. Feel free. It's, follow me on Twitter, Evan_UFC. The link is on my Twitter. I just gave you all my bets for this week. So, but if you want to see what I'm betting week after week, that's where you find them.
Make sure you subscribe because he's going to put in a bunch of locks to hedge all his the current slate.
Yeah.
And then if you don't, then you will miss out. And Evan's going to break even, but you guys are going to lose 10 units. So make sure you follow him.
Yeah, I got a couple more in the holster. I'm ready to fire. So subscribe. Yeah. $69 a month. Just a fun price point for everybody. Jesus.
I remember when Dub Club were emailing me for ages. I was like, just fuck off. I'm not interested. They waited for me to win a big card to ask me. Shady, you bet the Korean last week? No, I just bet that doesn't go. And round 2, round 3, I was going to bet the KO, but I was like, how much do I want on this one Korean fight? Turns out it would have been all great bets, including the money line. I left the money line for live bet, but Reyes is a bum. All right, peace out. Nice little chat. It's good to have you on, Evan. I don't mind going over an hour with you. Always fun.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Hopefully he does well so the viewers get something out of it. All righty.
Peace out, guys.
Peace out. Thanks, mate.